guys, welcome back to the channel. And it's been a while since we did another standard deck tech with Prediction OLB1. And this deck list I'm sharing today goes with the monocolor of green, in which with the namesake of Craterhoof, in which we are looking to have a new version in standard, which we call this one as the Craterhoof Nissa. That is the new Nissa Planeswalker, that is the completed Ascendant Animist. And so the deck list is basically much kind of evolving around this build, wherein -7 creatures you control is -1 for each forest you control against trample. So with that said, we have this interesting deck list which I found from MTG Goldfish user submitted feature of the site. We have 4 creatures, for instance, 24 lands, 12 enchantments, 4 of the Planeswalker of Nissa, and 12 sorcery. So what this deck basically do is just to ramp up its mana, getting to produce all of these forests as possible into play, and then use Nissa to just ramp up and kill your opponents with these creatures. And what creatures would be producing this? We have this playset of Awaken the Woods. So Awaken the Woods again is pay X green, create X 1/1 green forest dryad land creature token. So these are affected by summoning sickness, but they are basically 1/1s that are still considered as forest, with that of ability of Nissa again, that creatures you control gets +1 for each forest you control against trample. So that basically makes it multiply by a huge amount, and basically dealing that same huge damage to your opponent, and maybe going to go with an Alpha Strike for that setup. So what do we have before we set up those main strategy? So we go first with the creatures. We have a Cradle Clear Cutter. This is just basically 1/3 for its prototype. You add mana equal to its power, but later on, if you have drawn multiple copies of this, you can just have full payment for its 6 colorless mana to have this one as a 3/6 instead. But the purpose here is that to basically producing enough mana to make it a good ramp for your Awaken the Woods and other shenanigans, or maybe just to hardcast Nissa Ascendant Animist. Now for other options here with the ramps are your Azusa of Many Journeys. So Azusa basically adding additional land. You may play additional land for the first saga, and then a bonus 3 life, and then if you will be able to flip this one, it becomes a 3/3 Likeness of the Seeker, wherein when it comes black on top of the 3 lands you control. So not really of the ramp here, but the purpose here is just basically the main side of playing an additional land on your second turn. So just basically an explored kind of effects. And also we have Audacity and Branch of Armor to have some of your early threats becomes an option to have an effect. So this is kind of a rancor effect, wherein you gives the enchanted creature +2/+0 and trample, but the option is that when a creature dies or put in graveyard from the battlefield, the city is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you will draw a card. So 4 copies of that. Along with it is also 4 copies of Blanchwood Armor. So it's any creature gets +1 for each forest you control. So if you're able to have any of your options here, wherein you can, for example, produce just a minimal amount of Awaken the Woods, you can have them become a threat with the ability of Blanchwood Armor of having them +1 for each forest you control. Also with Giant Growth, we also have this one as your sort of added bonus damage or just some combat tricks if needed to kill off bigger blockers. And again, for the sake of Nissa's ability, so not only creating a -7 alpha kill, but also having this +1 wherein it will create an XX green protection horror creature token, where X is the Nissa's Ascendant Animist loyalty. So basically, having +1, you get to create an 8/8 that is played for its 7 mana cost. If you played it for only 5, you can just really have the starting loyalty of 5, but having to +1 this one, you will create a 6/6 green protection horror creature token as your main threat. And also the bonus of also destroying target artifact or enchantment depending on any situations that we need to destroy this one. And the cost of just one loyalty would be really minimal, in which would still have Nissa producing these Parisian Horror creature tokens as coming up the board and more threats added to your value. And for your sorceries, we have Bushwhack. This is just basically a dual purpose card wherein you can search library for a forest or basic land. This means a forest, since you're only going mono green. And you can also have this option to fight the creature you control, fight star creature you don't control for only 1 mana. And for backup of the woods, to make sure that we have several options later on, so we're make sure that 4 copies of it would really be sustainable even if drawn early in the early turns or in the late game. And the other kind of combo here of the Splendid Reclamation, we have 4 copies of this because of its ability to return all lands from your graveyard into the battlefield top. So what would be the main option here? If you notice on the lands, we only have basically 12 forests, but most of the time we have also 12 fetch lands. That is the Capena common fetch lands. For example, this one, Booker's Hideout. Sacrifice it to do search or library for forest, plains, and island. So put that card in the battlefield top and then shuffle and you gain 1 life. So basically, you will just search out your forest here with Booker's Hideout. The same with Cabarete Courtyard, since this also supports forest, and Repeater's Outlook as a way to search out the forest, searching up as early as possible and then use Splendid Reclamation to play it in the battlefield. So it doesn't matter here if it we put it to battlefield top, because it will just still trigger once it enters the battlefield to search library for a forest. So basically cleaning up your library, making your draws more efficient by reducing the chances of drawing another land, and also kind of a ramp in terms of searching this forest out of the library. So that with the few cycle of Splendid Reclamation, you're gonna basically filter out your library with all those forests, and then later on have them kind of awaken the woods with this effect of Nissa's -7. So that only goes with the option of not only going off with the Nissa in the late game, but also having to come up your board and against opponents with these Parisian Horror tokens. You can also use the Susa's Flip creature as an enchanted with the Planchwood armor to be able to become a good threat, and also Clear Cutter to be hardcast in 6 to have a 3/6 artifact creature golem, which is also a good ramp and at the same time a good kind of a good blocker per se on an attack. And the overall mana cost, it's average of 3. Core distribution is basically green with 48 on the green cards, and producers are 16. So averaging mana cost of 3, which means that you can basically action out as early as second turn or third turn. For example, this one would prototype into 3 in the third drop, or becoming a 1/3, or its prototype cost, or just have Azusa's mini journeys to play out an additional land and later on just ramp into a, let's say, a turn 4 Nissa for the completed version, or just basically going off with just of the Awaken the Woods ramp, and then use a hardcast Nissa for 7 to deal that much damage. So that's basically it for this interesting Nissa Craterhoof deck for the Praxia OLB1 standard. If you faced a similar deck list in your grind in MTG Arena or MTG Online, I suggest you comment down below what your observations were and any suggestions on the build that you might have improved on this one. I think this would not really go with the best of 1 setup, but I think a sideboard list would be needed so that we could able to do some adjustments as for the specific matchups in the metagame that can basically counter out in case that they would be able to stop your early aggressive assault or ramp in the deck. So that's basically about it, guys. Thank you for checking this standard deck tech for Praxia OLB1. We will have more of these. Probably I'll have more of the Pioneer setup again for some of the updated decks there that has added one cards from the newest set in their build. So that's basically about it, guys. Thank you for checking this video, and see you on the next one. And don't forget to like and subscribe Detmark TV for future MTG and Magic the Gathering stuff and updates. See ya in the next video.